Hey, how are you?
You want- Do we have enough chairs? It should be live already, so you should just be able to talk. Ready, Tony? Ready? Yep.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get going. It's just past 6:30. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Maple Square Improvements Meeting. My name is Stephen King. I'm the Town of Danvers Town Engineer, who will be chairing the discussion tonight related to the Danvers Maple Square Mixed-Use Development Project at 128 and 146 Maple Street. If you're here for the meeting, the intent of this meeting is to focus on the upcoming construction work that will take place in this current calendar year, 2024, and the next year in 2025, which includes work on Maple Street from Locust to Poplar Street, North Putnam Street, and Hobart Street. I do want to note that if you had a chance, if you didn't grab it, we do have an agenda, a light agenda that's out in the front if you can grab one up. We also have an informational handout that's available for the meeting. If you don't get one, again, like I said before, we'll definitely email you a copy if you'd like one. And just before starting our discussion tonight, I would like to just take care of a few preliminary matters. We have a great crowd here tonight, so thank you for everyone for your attendance and coming tonight. Make sure that everyone has signed the attendance sheet at the door. It's very important if you want to receive notifications about the project moving forward, that we have your contacts so we can best communicate with you. When we do get to the question portion of our discussion, please state your name and your address. And for those who are joining us online and would like to ask questions, we are monitoring the questions, so please raise your hand or type in your name and address with your question in the chat function. And lastly, just to be in order to respect everyone's time here tonight, we are asking you to limit your question to just one. Any further questions, you can contact the development team, town staff, or National Grid, which will provide those contacts in the future or after the meeting. Now I want to take a few minutes just to introduce the members who are here today to represent the construction team for the Maple Square Development Project. I'm going to start with O-Pee-Chee.
Ethan Paul, Project Manager, O-Pee-Chee Construction.
AAM 15.
Tony Libro, Chief Operating Officer, AM15 Management.
National Grid.
Colin Burns, I'm going to be supervising the project in the Maple Square neighborhood.
Danvers Land Use Economic Development.
My name's Aaron Henry. I'm the town's Director of Land Use and Community Services.
And I'm Brian Zachelli, Director of Planning.
And myself, Steve King, Civil Engineering Division for the Department of Public Works. Again, I'd just like to thank everyone for attending tonight and for their patience with the construction work that's taken place so far. We do understand the work related to the new development has caused some inconveniences and disturbances to your normal routines for abutters of the project. We hope this meeting will bridge any gaps in communication from the town developer or help abutters understand the project schedule as we move forward with the rest of the development team. Now that we've kind of discussed some of the preliminary matters and introductions are complete, I wanted to proceed with our agenda. So just as a brief background, this project was initially approved by a special permit issued by the Planning Board in 2022. Prior to the site development construction, demolition of the existing building, site remediation, and abandonment of existing utilities was required. So in 2022, you might have seen a few contractors out there performing the abandonment and demolition of the existing buildings and doing the cut and caps, what we call abandonment of the utility services to the former Hot Wat site that was at the on Maple Street. Once demolition and remediation was performed in 2022 and completed in early 2023, the town and developer and the O-Pee-Chee, the construction manager, gathered information for the physical work that was performed. We recorded all the utility size, type, and locations, and determined that historically all the utilities in that area, if you're not familiar with that area, predated the 1990s. So we're we're really referencing utilities that are over 30 years old. Some are pushing over 100 years old in that area. For example, our sewers were installed between 1940 and 1970 in the area. Our water mains were installed in the early 1920s. And just as recently as a major project down Maple Street corridor in 1990. And then also our stormwater and drainage system was installed in the early 1920s. So it's been, roughly for some of the utilities over 100 years before they've seen any updates or improvements in that area. And so in order to facilitate the development, we had to go into item number 2, which is our proposed work. And due to the site, we had to replace and relocate some of the town's aging infrastructure, which has been managed by OPG and town DPW staff. The work is expansive, as you might have seen, as it encompasses Hobart Street down to North Putnam Street, all of North Putnam Street, Maple Street between Locust and Hobart Street. So it's a wide area. I know people have dealt with some of the traffic on the street, so we thank you for your patience with that. We're working as best we can to keep the roads open as much as possible during the daytime, but obviously we are limited in factors to make sure that, one, the site is completely safe while we perform this work. This upcoming season is going to start early April, early May, and it's going to continue with a lot of the curbing and streetscape work. So OPG will be moving in, remobilizing after the weather turns a little bit better, and they'll start working on installing new curbing on North Putnam Street, Hobart Street, and parts of Maple Street. They'll be doing sidewalks, ADA accessible ramps, also doing some of the major paving and reconstruction of the roadways in that area. Once they're completed with a majority of their work in the area, the town is also going to mobilize and start perform a water main replacement project on North Putnam Street. This will entail work mostly from the summer, starting in June all the way to the end of September. And then also, of course, we have National Grid here today, obviously, because they also would like to replace their existing gas main, which is predating, I think, 1920s, 1930s.
Yeah.
Which needs to get its place as well. So we're utilizing this project as a time and necessary need to make sure we make these necessary improvements to our utilities, so we don't have to come back over the next, what I say, useful lifetime of a utility, which is over 100 years, and then we don't have to pave over 20 to 25 years, starting from this point, when we finish the project. At this point, I'm going to give the floor to Ethan Paul from OPG and AAM to go over their proposed schedule of construction work for the upcoming 2024 season.
We intend on starting curbing mid-May. We'll be running about 900 feet of curb every 2 to 3 weeks. I don't anticipate any road closures. I think that we're just going to be shutting down one lane and allowing one lane of traffic each day to pass by. Curbing will be completed by August of 2024, and then we'll be proceeding with some more of the on-site work. I think Stephen you're going to be starting the water line.
June timeframe, yeah.
Yep, for June timeframe on North Putnam Street, with National Grid to follow in September
Correct.
on North Putnam Street.
Thank you, Ethan. And just to discuss what the town's part of the construction work. Renee, you can go to the next slide. We're currently advertising a water main improvements project that's going to really encompass the area below, which you can see the arrow pointing to North Putnam Street, but we're also going to be replacing a section of water main on Locust Street up to Chestnut Street as well. We are planning to replace the existing main on North Putnam Street is a 6-inch cast iron main. We're going to replace it with a new 8-inch ductile iron main, more resilient, with new services, new water services, and new hydrants on North Putnam Street. Due to some of the older homes that are existing on the street, some of those houses will require a full service relay from the water main to their house. Some of the pre-existing conditions of the services are steel lines, which we use copper now, so we're going to be changing those over. We expect to have opening of our bids at the end of March, and at that point we'll know who our low bidder is through the public bidding process. So we're not aware who our contractor will be yet. But once we get them on board, we'll get them up to date on trying to coordinate between the three entities who will be installing utilities on the roadway. For residents on North Putnam Street, they'll also see our consultant who will be assisting us, New England Civil Engineering. They'll help with the inspection coordinations along with the Department of Public Works. Again, we're aiming to take this work to take place between June 2024 to October 2024. And this is a small process. This process, we usually send out 2-week ahead notices to the abutters of the projects. And that letter would include a packet for a temporary bypass connection, which we're going to use to feed water to the residents who were affected by any water main shutdowns in that specific location. With the contractor, at some point, if anybody lives on North Putnam Street, we'll have to coordinate directly with you to allow the contractor to gain access to your meter, so we can make the swap to a temporary service while they're doing the construction work. So please be on the lookout when you do see those notices. If you have any questions, you can reach directly out to the DPW department, or you can reach out to the contractor and we can schedule that appointment. Once everyone is on the temporary main, the contractor will move in place the existing water main, will pressure test, install the new hydrants, and switch everyone back to the new water main, so roughly about 3 months. After that, we'll do our temporary pavement trench to secure all the trenches from the water main construction. During the work, both on the curbing and water main work and gas main work, obviously you'll see excavators, some triaxles, concrete trucks. Obviously, we're going to try and keep the site safe. As we're leaving one lane of traffic open, if we can't do that, we'll be putting out notifications for road closures. That will either go through the town website, direct mailing, or direct hand distribution to the affected abutters. And next, I'll turn over to National Grid to talk about their gas main replacement.
Thanks, Steve. So like Steve said, our utility is pushing 110 years old. It's a 4-inch cast iron main that was installed in 1915. Due to that, there's been multiple leaks over the years, so we're trying to come in and replace that with a new plastic main. So like Steve said, we won't have to do any maintenance or enhancements for a lifetime to come. So if everything goes to plan, and we will start in September, similar to with the water work, we usually send a letter out to the residents about 2 weeks before, giving the area and the residents just an idea of what's going to be going on. From there, you'll be contacted by the fitting department. They'll need access into your home to inspect all piping, just to give us a plan. From there, we'll walk the job with the town. Usually, we try to put the gas main as close to the side as the road as possible. That way, it's just most efficient for traffic. That way, we don't have to close the road down. Similar to a Peachy, we might just have one lane going where the cops will have details to keep traffic flowing in both directions. From there, we'll start installing the gas main. We'll install a new plastic gas main. This will probably take us about a month or so. From there, we'll introduce gas into this main, feeding off Maple Street, and then we'll switch over everybody's services. Everybody will get a brand new plastic service, no charge to you, of course. If you don't have gas now and you would like to switch on, we give everybody the opportunity to. And then from there, we'll abandon the old gas main, put down some temporary paving for the winter, and then we're out of your hair. The project, like you can see on the board right there, it'll be affecting all of North Putnam Street, Putnam Court, as well as Bell Street and Andrew Street. We plan this to just take just around 3 months, weather pending. We should be out of your hair before Christmas time.
So if some of you received the full packet where you have the calendar, we tried our best to kind of overlay everyone's schedule on there on the calendar, so you can kind of see the coordination involved that's for this project. So you'll see as the curbing starts and the water main starts and the National Grid work begins, there's going to be a little bit of overlap between the different entities. But again, we want to make sure that that everyone understands that we're working together to try and make sure that we don't run into any conflicts, and that we're making sure we're notifying the residents and the abutters and anybody who's traveling through the downtown area of the work that's taking place. Obviously, we know schedules are weather dependent. We live in New England. So depending on how things shift over the seasons, really dictates our start time and end time. We're hoping to have everything buttoned up and paved, temporary paved by the end of the year. Depending on the weather, coming into October, November, and December, that may spill over to 2025. But again, we're looking to try and complete everything before the Christmas time. As everyone said, once we do our temporary work, we are going to be paving everything to hold the trenches together over the winter season. We'll be coming back in the summer of 2025, summer and fall time, to do all our final paving. So that would be the full curb-to-curb restoration, final overlay along North Putnam Street, Hobart Street, and Maple Street. This would also directly tie in with our future project that's happening, that's connecting to the Danvers Square down by Elm, Conant, and High Street as well. So, again, we are assuming during that time when we do the final paving, there will have to be some road closures. We'll adequately make sure that notification is put out in the newspapers. It's provided to anybody who's here at the meeting if they'd like to, and then also hand-delivered postcards and/or notifications to make sure that everybody knows what's happening. We'll be setting up detours, so we'll have detour maps provided for everyone to make sure that they're well aware of the restricted hours and travel lanes during that construction process. So just kind of as closing remarks, I just want to make sure that just this meeting is really geared toward the construction activities that are going to take place. We know it was very busy last summer and into the fall with a lot of work that was going on. Again, we're gearing up for another busy construction season, which is a good thing, but we want to make sure that everybody's well aware of the work that's going to take place, and they know the names and faces of the people doing the work on the streets. We want to make sure everybody's notified of all the work going on. We don't want to give anybody surprises. We want everybody to be well aware of what's happening in the town and in the community as well for this project. At that time, I'd like to take the floor for open some questions. If anybody has any questions, construction-related or butter-related, please feel free to come to the podium. Just give your name and address, and then we'll try and address the question as best we can. In the back, you want to go? Do you mind going to the podium?
Hi, I'm Julie Curtis. I'm a Precinct 5 town meeting member. I live at 85 Locust Street, and I was wondering if there's any date that Locust Street is going to be repaved. It's a battle zone going. You know, we've dealt with it for over a year now, close to a year. And
Yes.
I was just hoping that it would, somehow we could have a date that we will be paved over.
Yeah, Locust Street from the water main work that took place last year, that's going to
Okay,
be
I'm
paved.
sorry, I can't.
Locust Street section between Cole Road up to
Okay,
Worthington.
We live between Hood Road and Coolidge Road,
So that section,
starting on Chestnut Street, and it goes all the way.
so you're going to kind of overlap between two different projects. The first project, we are going to pave where we started the water main work this past summer up to Worthington. So that's basically Betsy's Way to Worthington Ave. We're going to pave that. Following this summer, we're actually going to also, the water main work is going to encompass Locust Street from Poplar back up to Betsy's Way and Cole Road. So we're running the new water main section up to that part, up to Chestnut. That will again get paved in 2025.
So that's going to still go into 2025?
The first section between Poplar Street up to Betsy's Way will be unpaved.
'Cause I can tell you, I don't know how people have any shocks left in their cars.
Remember, we talked about doing like.
Oh, thank you.
Skim overlay
for
Yeah.
the first picture.
Yes, just to also let you know, like, we are intending, if there are rough areas, we can take care of those temporarily until we come back to do the final mix. So we took your address, and you can definitely come out and take a look at the areas that concern you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There.
Good evening. I'm Susan Berry. I live at 189 Center Street. I guess it's Precinct 8. And I have just a couple questions. One, this is all new to me. One question is this emphasis in this area specifically because of the new construction of that new building? Is that why you picked this area to make all these improvements? Was it necessary?
Yes, I guess you're directing the question to me, so I can answer that for you.
And can I give you part two? Or do you want to wait? Part two is, in this area, I see you're doing a lot of, improving the road, improving the curbs, which Danvers needs all over town, and improving the services. But who's paying for this new construction around this building? Is the Danvers taxpayer paying for this? Are the folks building the building, are they contributing to this? How's that working?
So it's a combination of all three of us, really. The developer's been responsible for making some of the upgrades to the existing utilities. From where they're outside of their scope of work in their building, we're taking care of the rest of the utility work related to water and sewer, and the gas company is obviously providing their services through their funds.
So is
So
it
it's a
kind of,
combination of all
Danvers
three.
is taking advantage, I guess, of the situation and just making improvements in that whole area that are necessary?
Right, it's the coordination and scheduling that
Okay.
we're really concerned about. We obviously don't want to, while we're here and we can get the work done and get it all done in unison, is the best way versus doing it every 5 years. We come in and open up a new trench and repave the road again.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Did we answer those? So how is it being funded? Is our taxes going to keep going up and we're paying for it? Or is the construction company, not the construction company?
I think we need, if you could use them,
You
when
might-
recognized, if you could use the podium.
She has a bad head.
I'll repeat the question. It's back to the part question? Yeah, I'll repeat the question. So the question again is, how is the project, utility projects being funded? Again, the projects are being funded by three different sources. The developer, through his project-related costs, are made upgrades to the sections of the water main, the sewer main, and the drainage within the whole development. Outside of that work that the developer had to do, the town is starting to replace our utilities, which is paid through the water and sewer rates. National Grid, their work is not National Grid work is not encompassed of any of your tax-supported water or sewer rate supported dollars.
Okay, so the water stuff is going to increase our water bills, the percentages and extra, whatever, right?
We have a whole capital plan that's in place, and usually it's funded through the water supported services. I'll go here and then you. Yep, right here.
Hi, my name's Rich Brown. I own 56 North Putnam Street, which is a commercial building, kind of. It's a combination retail. I have a retail business I run out of there, as well as several tenants that need access in and out of North Putnam Street all day, every day. So I assume you're going to do the best you can to at least have one lane open on North Putnam Street. We dealt with it all last summer, too. I want to say I'm in support of this whole thing and tried to be a good neighbor and be supportive through it, but it has been painful at times. I think, I just want to make, I have a couple things. One, I just want to make sure, I have to protect my tenants. And so I want to make sure there's going to be every attempt to have at least one lane. I can't just move everything for a day so you can shut down the road, or it would certainly create a hardship. And the other thing is, when they redid the utility poles, they put two poles at the end of North Putnam Street, basically in the road. There's one on each side of North Putnam Street now. So the site manager knows this. Your trucks can't even get in and out of that street from that direction. So they turn around in my parking lot all the time. I've not complained about it. I could come over and see you anytime. I'm trying to be a good neighbor, but there can't be two poles that close on either side of that road long-term.
There's 4 poles still to be removed.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's 2 questions. First question I'll answer, we will obviously try and provide a better notification to you and the direct abutters of the site. So it is we can come in from 2 different ways for North Putnam Street. So we'll have to really manage how we communicate that to you and your tenants. which direction of the street from North
Which
Putnam.
they did last summer
Yeah.
successfully. They did half to my parking lot, actually, and then they did the other half. And
Yeah.
it worked out fine. And, you know, I had a lot of traffic in my parking lot, but I don't care about that as long as my tenants can get in and out.
Absolutely, yeah, and we want to make sure that the road stays open to the butters so you can access your homes in your driveways.
I want to work with you guys, not against you guys, but I have to protect my tenants.
Absolutely. The second part on the utility poles, there are still 4 poles to be removed. If you have specific questions about specific poles, if you wanted to stay after the meeting, I can get you information for the Danvers Electric.
Well, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
That's-
I mean,
that's a-
I've had semi-trailers come into my building for 50 years, and they can't come on the street.
End
End of the month? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amy January. I live at 64 North Putnam Street, directly across from all the ongoings. Thank you for the information that you've provided this evening. I would like to just critique that when you send out notices, if they could send them to all the units for multifamily homes, because I found out about this meeting through a neighbor. I didn't know that this was happening except for him and when I spoke to you. Just to critique a little bit, with the music during the day, as much as I love it and want to dance around with them, it's a little bit loud at times, and I know it's not disturbing me, but it's disturbing other neighbors, so if they could just be considerate of, I know it's daytime, but if they could be a little more considerate of keeping it at a quieter level. We do put up with earthquakes and things of that nature, and we tolerate it, but I just trying to think of other neighbors. And my only question is, I know it's been shut off for the past few nights, but is there a plan to be running that heater any longer? Because it keeps me up at night. It's literally right outside, like, my window. It's a blue heater thing.
Yeah, the heater was taken out of service last Friday for the season.
All right, so
That's gone.
is it going to be gone for good? Is it coming back
Good.
ever?
Nope, it's never coming back.
Okay, wonderful. That's all I care about. Like I said, I'll deal with the earthquakes, and I work from home sometimes, so it would be great. I signed up for the email. That's why I'm expressing about the notices. We all need to be notified, even the multifamily units, so that if I have to go into work because plumbing's going to be shut off, it would be nice to know and not be at home having no plumbing when, if I was to go to work and there was no plumbing, I'd have to leave. You know what I mean? So if
Absolutely.
you could just be a little more considerate with that, it would be appreciated.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you for your presentation tonight, George Saluto, Longbow Road. I'm not a resident, but I do have a question. Is there an AAM 15 management person here?
Yes.
May I pose a question to you?
Of course.
You have 145 units, which if there are a couple of people in each unit, that's 290, 300 people. That seems to me to be wonderful in the sense of bringing a vibrancy to downtown Danvers. Downtown Danvers, like a lot of other towns, is kind of suffering with empty stores, and matter of fact, you have many retail outlets that you're adding to that area. Danvers doesn't have any public transportation. As a matter of fact, 29 of the units you've set aside for affordable housing, there are some people that don't have cars. There is no bus stop. There once was a bus stop in Danvers. There isn't anymore. So in your corporate vision, help me appreciate the fact that there will be a denser population in downtown Danvers, a busier place, a more vital place, more vitality, more interesting place, a lot of shopping going on, we do have adequate parking, we really, really do. And the town management has done a good job of trying to vitalize the area, particularly with the rezoning that's gone on. So obviously, your corporation, in its foresight, thought that this was a good thing. So help me explain how, without public transportation, we're going to have a vital downtown.
So what I can say is, I appreciate your question, and I appreciate the thoughtfulness in which you asked it. This is an ongoing conversation, and I know that the town staff, along with others, are working on it. This has been a conversation that's been ongoing even from when we were in permitting. And so I don't profess to have that answer. It's not necessarily we can't provide the public transportation. So, but it is a conversation that is ongoing with the town, and I believe the town is working on it.
May I recommend a little bit more of expanded vision? Sally Cairns and Joan Lovely are trying to bring that bus stop back. May I suggest that your management join with them and perhaps other business owners downtown? We don't have a Chamber of Commerce. We don't have a voice of business community people that own shops downtown. They're independent people. Many of them are renters. There is no voice. Once upon a time, there was a downtown association. There isn't anymore. There's a Beverly Chamber of Commerce that apparently thinks that Danvers is attended to. In my opinion, that's probably true, but it's probably quite weak. May I suggest that your corporation join in and become a voice, an advocate for, excuse me, including public transportation in downtown Danvers?
We will be happy to look at it in consultation with the town and certainly state representatives and state senators, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I was just going to say, as Mr. Saluto's sitting down, thank you for often your emails. We much appreciate all your advocacy. We are more than working on it in a sense of we're working with our state delegation, the City of Salem, the City of Beverly. We hope to be announcing some progress on that front in the coming, I don't know, I will say 4 to 6 weeks, where things are looking good. So we're hoping that there's something we can announce in a few weeks that relates to public transit in downtown.
Yep, go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Griffin, 54 North Putnam Street, so I am very familiar with a lot of the workers there. Very nice people. They're always very courteous, so I just want to acknowledge them. And it's nice to see some of my neighbors here. We should have a block party one of these days. I have found that, and I know that you have a lot going on and trying to coordinate things and trying to also appease the neighbors and so forth, but there's been oftentimes coming home from work, water is off, and it'll be 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and the water is still off. And we have had to call the department of the town, the DWP, have them go out there, try to turn our water on. We can't prepare dinner, we can't take showers. A lot of us have kids, and it's really adding to the stress of our day. And then in view of the fact that starting August 15th through September 9th, I'm wondering if I should plan my vacation to go out of state at that time when you'll be working at 12 a.m.
That's just an all-day notice, so that's put in there, that's not going to be 12 a.m., but we'll be working 7 to 4 like we typically do.
So we'll have access to our bathroom
Yes.
at night?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So this is a two-part question. I'm sorry, I'm sneaking it in there.
No.
So for those of us, I know that you need to get into our dwellings, whether it's the basement, to check the pipes. A lot of us are first responders, we're in healthcare, we have patients that are booked up weeks in advance. We can't just cancel all of our patients. How does that work if we just leave the basement open so that you can go in there? Can you accommodate us as we're trying to accommodate you?
We would absolutely accommodate your schedule. So what we typically do is we give a notice to serve for service. You just let us know what times work best for you. Our contractor is typically on call 24 hours of the day. So they'd be able to set something up with you. If you work a night shift or you work like early mornings, we'd be able to coordinate that with you and get you to service to get in your basement. We don't want you to leave any of your doors open that you normally don't do.
So they could come after work hours?
Correct.
That's fantastic, thank you.
Did you have a second question?
That was, I snuck that in.
Oh, okay. Yep, go ahead.
My name is Darrell Parker. I'm the owner of Cherry Street Fish Market on Hobart Street. So I had some questions about the utility, the water main. I know you're not changing it on Hobart Street, but when you're changing the mains in that area, I don't know the flow, the direction of the water. Is it going to affect my water quality? I've had some issues where we've had to shut everything down because the water was coming in brown. I'm just wondering if we're going to have those issues when you're doing the water mains over there.
When we typically do turn gate valves, it does create some disturbance in the water system, but usually it's easily flushed out through the hydrants. If you want to be notified when we do that work, we absolutely can notify you beforehand, so we're aware of it, and we can try to limit the disturbance as much as possible.
Okay. Do you happen to know the flow, which way it flows up Hobart Street? If it's coming from, the North Putnam going?
Most of the
down,
distribution
or-
main will come from Maple Street down Hobart Street.
Okay. So I could potentially have a water quality issue.
Everything's backfed in within the system, so if we shut down one valve, it's going to come in from a different direction.
Okay. Okay, so I'll be notified when you're going to be doing that work, though, or?
If that's something you want to have, like, just us to notify you and send you a separate notice, just to let you know when we're starting the work, we can absolutely do that.
Okay, because I have ice makers that make like 1,200 pounds, and it comes in, you put yellow ice on top of it, we have to dump the whole thing and start over, so if we plan ahead, we can make the ice ahead of time and
Absolutely.
shut the valve down or something,
Yep.
So my other question is on, for the gas company, you're going to be putting in new gas mains. Is this going to interrupt my gas going to Cherry Street Fish Market on Hobart Street?
No, it won't. Everything in the area is backfed like the water, so when we do isolate the sections where North Putnam Street meets Maple Street, as well as Andrew Street, I believe it is, not Bell, on to Hobart, everything's backfed, so you'll be fine.
Okay, so once you put in more gas into that area, is there going to be a gas booster at Maple Street, this project? Do they have a gas booster planned?
No, we are upgrading the size of the main from 4-inch to 6 inches, but it's still going to be a low-pressure system. There's no plan to boost the pressure of the main.
Okay, will this affect my pressure at 26 Hobart Street?
No, everything will be, everything
Because I
is
have
set the
had some
same.
fluctuations recently of gas pressure.
What's your address? I can,
Well, it's the fish market at 26 Hobart Street.
yeah, there shouldn't be any issues. We did some gas work in the past on Maple Street, but that was wrapped up last summer.
Yeah, that's when I had some issues,
Okay.
where we noticed the pressure come down and had to make adjustments.
Yeah, no, there shouldn't be any issues.
Okay. The other thing is, if Hobart Street gets closed down like it did last summer, sometimes we weren't notified, and when I even went to the top of Hobart Street and it was closed down, I didn't know which way to go myself. Of course, I can make it there, but my customers come from all over, and they didn't know how to get to, we were getting phone calls all the time, how do we get there, are you open? So there was no signage saying, business is still open, go this way, or go, either to Cherry Street or to North Putnam. There was no signage for that. I just want to be aware that if you close down Hobart Street again, because you had some businesses over there by the 88 and myself that, when we're going down there, we literally didn't know which way we should go.
Right. For Hobart, I believe the only intended road closure will probably be when we do the final paving, which would probably be a 2-day operation. We can absolutely send out advance notification to you directly to let your customers know on these 2 specific days. This is going to be the detour plan in place so that it can make it to your business. And then also at the same time, set up appropriate traffic management signage to show that detour Hobart Street.
Yeah,
go
that would be the
left
most
or right.
important thing, because
Yep.
it'll be impossible for me to get it out to my customers.
Yep.
But if it, at the top of the street, if it's closed, if it says use Cherry Street or North Putnam, that would
Yep.
be helpful.
Absolutely.
Another thing, as everyone notices that's around that area, when we have a heavy rain, we still have flooding around that 88 over to the Fish Market area. There's a lot of flooding when, you have a heavy rain. And I didn't know are you all done with the drainage work there? Is there going to be anything else done to, stop the flooding?
Right now, there's no.
For DPW, I guess.
Yeah, I can answer that. So there's no additional stormwater drainage work that's planned for Hobart Street right now. We should definitely talk offline, and I can come out and visit this specific section that you're concerned about, and we can take a look at that.
Yeah, all you have to do is when a heavy rainstorm, go down Hobart Street and you'll see. And they've actually had water go right inside to the 88 restaurant. It's that high at times.
To your market?
No, to the 88 across the street.
Oh. Okay, yep.
I just had one other question for the project. You have about 145 units, right?
That's
I
correct.
mean, how many parking spaces altogether do you have in your own property? Is there a number?
It's a lot. I don't have the number off the top of my head, and I didn't come prepared for that conversation. We can, but I can make sure that we get that to you. I know that that was part of the planning decision as to the amount of parking, because Danvers does have both a minimum and a maximum, and we were pushing the edge of the maximum.
Yeah.
So, but we can certainly get you the exact number.
Yeah, I'm not overly concerned, but I'm just thinking if it's, to capacity, if each unit has 2 cars and you don't quite have, 300 parking spaces, are people gonna permanently park in the Hobart Street parking lot? I mean, there's no sense addressing it until it happens, I guess, and then I would like to have a conversation with the town, because that was purchased for employee parking. It's not really necessarily for resident all-day parking. Residents at night is one thing, but if the residents park there all day, there'll be no spaces for what the lot was purchased for.
I will say from the town's perspective, our expectation, and hopefully this doesn't upset you too much, not every unit will have,
Right.
if you want this apartment and I have 3 cars, the answer might be, well, we don't have 3 spaces for you.
Yeah.
Obviously, we are aware that we have public parking in the vicinity, but the purpose of the public lot there would be to serve secondary parking for the commercial first floor tenants. We're happy to do that, but the understanding is that the development, not everybody who wants 4 cars is going to be able to rent an apartment there.
Yeah.
We've had to learn the hard way in nearby development where a property owner isn't necessarily managing the parking strictly according to the decision, and we're working with that property owner, but we are not intending a repeat of that here.
Yeah. Like I say, I don't want to bring it up before it actually is a problem, but if it does become a
Well, we need
potential
to be
problem,
in front
I
of
would
it
like to,
because-
have the meeting or to try to figure something out with that lot.
Yep. It's a point of emphasis for us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Dan Bennett, 12 Page Street, Select Board member. I'm disappointed you came here to speak to the people about the issues, and you don't know the basic number of parking spots. You're not prepared.
You take your question?
Looking at the decision, but it's
Yep, we'll take you, and then I think she had one follow-up question.
Digging up the decision.
This part's not a question, but it is about parking, from what I've seen of the plans. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's parking on-site where you have the building. There's also going to be parking on the corner of Maple and North Putnam. So there's probably going to be a lot of parking. But my question was, I don't know for the developer, if you have any idea of what businesses are going in yet, or is that going to be at a later time?
That's a great question. First of all, I can confirm to you that, yes, the parking is going in both locations, both behind the L-shaped building as well as across the street. So we have the two lots. As far as the businesses, we are in the process of beginning the marketing phases of those spaces. We've had a number of businesses reach out to us, and we're working through those. My guess is that we will be in a position to start talking about who's going into what space over the next 90 days, 90 to 120 days. But that's our goal. We don't have any signed leases yet. We just have expressions of interest. We've gotten a lot of phone calls, but we haven't been in a position to start that process yet.
So my thought is, are any of them going to be restaurant-type things? And if so, are they going to have, you might not know this yet, but are they going to have a liquor license? And if so, what would that mean as far as, like, when they close at night, as far as loitering going on and parking and stuff? So I just kind of want to, you might not know the answer to that yet. It might be something down the line, but something to kind of keep on the back burner.
Yes, I mean, I think that at the original planning board meetings, we did discuss a variety of uses for that space. One of them certainly was restaurant.
Okay.
Typically, restaurants like to have a liquor license.
Yep.
But any of our leases would contain normal commercial terms that would prevent that, and certainly if we saw that going on as a landlord, we would be taking action against the tenant in consultation with the town.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Steve, I have the parking.
Brian, would you like to share the part?
So I'm just looking at the site plan that was approved. So the parking ratio depends upon the number of bedrooms. So one-bedroom units require one space, but three-bedroom units required two spaces. The math, so most of the units are studios, ones and twos. There's only 5 three-bedroom units in the whole project of 145. So what was required of them through zoning was 197 spaces, and they are providing 204. So it's slightly more than what's required. But again, most of these units are 43 studios, 51 one-bedrooms, 48 two-bedrooms, and only 5 three-bedrooms. But the total number of parking is 204.
Thank you. I don't know if there's any more questions related to, I want to stick to just for a few minutes on construction, and then if we have any time left, potentially one more question of just the overall site plans.
Thank you. Bill Bates, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 4. My concerns were, we had noticed on social media that there was construction noise at night. That seems unacceptable, and can we be assured that the nighttime construction noise will be no longer a problem?
Absolutely. We did have one incident where it appears some kids got into the site and tripped one of the safeties on the lift. It was beeping at some ungodly hour, I believe midnight, where Danvers Police actually responded, but there's nobody working at night.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep.
The other thing I wanted to throw out, and this is construction in the town as a whole, I don't want to see road closures. We pay a lot of money to have police officers working details. You should always be able to keep one lane open. As a taxpayer, I want access to those roads, and I hope that closure of roads, complete closure, is a last resort. And I don't see Dave Lane still here, but I would just hope that that is something that's a last resort, to close a road completely. To detour and have to work around, like I say, we pay for
Actually, I pay for
the
it.
developer pays for.
So, just to be clear about that, I'm the one who pays for it.
And that's, I stand corrected, but that's something that we as a town require, and that should be enough of a thing, I would think, that so, most cases, we don't have to completely close a road. And lastly, I've had people contact me if people are interested in the rental of the units, both the affordable and the regular price. Is there a number or a place they should be calling, or is it too soon?
It's too soon.
Okay.
So what I would say is if there's anybody who is interested, stay tuned. This will go out via social media as well as print advertisement and other forms of advertisement. When we start opening up, we have hired a manager who deals with the affordable units, excuse me. The affordable units, so that's handled separately as part of a lottery system. But we will start that marketing, I am hoping by the middle of August. Might be a little sooner than that, might be a little later than that. That's basically based on when we think we're going to be done. So you started a little bit ahead of time so that people have some surety of when they're going to be able to move in.
And a time frame when that might start?
That's something that O-Pee-Chee and AAM are in conversation about almost daily. Again, I'm hoping to begin the marketing late summer, and then with move-in dates early 2025, Q1 at some point 2025 is the goal.
Thank you.
You've got a hand up in the back.
Oh,
right?
yep.
Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. Tonight's meeting is a very good opening effort. Can you give us, or make it known, how often will you have one of these type meetings so that perhaps more people who didn't attend tonight? Because your project is a continuing project, and what you know now might not be valid or appropriate tomorrow, so situations change. I think all of us, me included, would like to know, how often are you going to have a meeting so that if a new complaint or an issue comes up, it can be addressed then? I'd like to think this isn't going to be the only meeting you're going to have until the project is quote-unquote done.
I think these are, like you said, a good first step. We do meet monthly as a team, a project team, out on the site, and we go over all the issues and/or complaints that we received, either through a town website or something we've seen on social media. We absolutely hope that this effort here will help us get in more contact with people who are direct abutters and have their contact information, so that if we do see something changing, that we can push the notification out to them directly. If there is a significant change or update that's required, I think we then would sit down and discuss as a group if we need to hold a public forum or if it just needs to be one simple notification. I think we need to kind of see how that goes as we start the construction season.
Okay, I just personally think that a meeting as often as necessary for everyone, not just the quote-unquote abutters who might be affected, because there might be interest from people who don't live where a problem is existing.
I think we want to try and emphasize the communication part, and that's what we want to start with. So any way we can boost the communication from us to anybody of the butters and/or people traveling through the downtown area. If we can do that, we'll shoot to do that.
It's more information, not just enough. I think some of us would like to be overloaded with information so we can make better decisions or make more constructive comments. Thank you.
Steve, there's a question.
I have one question on, do you want to?
Yeah. Does this work? Okay. In the long-range thought of things, with parking being such a hot topic, has there been any discussion at all about sometime in the future that we consider a central garage somewhere rather than have piecemeal lots everywhere? Surrounding towns have had to go that route.
You want to take that question, Aaron?
I think the short answer is no, there is no short, medium, or long-term intention for the town to invest in a parking structure. We think the utilization of our lots right now is, we have adequate capacity to handle. Again, in a town with our footprint downtown, most businesses are not longer than 50 feet. That's 2 parking spaces in front of the business you're trying to patronize. We get a lot of complaints that there was a parking problem because you couldn't fit into one of those 2 spaces in front of that business. Yet the lot right behind the next building was only 15% occupied. So I think we're a bit away from going structured parking. Structured parking is also prohibitively expensive generally. And I think if anyone here has been following the town's recent budget conversations, I don't see us having the funds available for structured parking in the near term. Obviously, we are monitoring and paying attention to how the downtown lots are being used. There's a broader project also going on where we're going to be refreshing a lot of the elements downtown. A lot of this work has required us to do a repaving project downtown. Part of that will be improving and replacing downtown signage. So again, we hope that we have a problem where we have people coming downtown that need parking and that we're going to point them to those lots and that we see those lots better utilized, in a year than they are today. But I think we're still a bit away from having to bite the bullet and talk about structured parking downtown.
I think we have time for one more question. Well, actually, we've got 2 more. We'll take the 2. We'll go first, and then.
Thank you. Derek Henschel, 3 Hobart Court. Just to kind of expand upon what Darrell was talking about by Hobart Street and the flooding on the roads. Where does all the stormwater that's collected in this new development drain to?
Drains to we have a larger size, call it transmission stormwater drain pipe that runs down Maple Street, then discharges into the Porter
So
River.
it doesn't come out on the Hobart Street?
No.
It doesn't?
Hobart Street everything ties in from Hobart Street, North Putnam Street into Maple Street, and then goes down Maple Street towards High Street.
All right, because right now we got huge, bad flooding out there, like you said. Now, if this property discharges onto Hobart, which then in turns and goes out to Maple, it's going to overcharge that main even more.
No, the main from the site,
Goes
the
out
road,
Putnam?
Hobart Mains that they did the upgrades on, that goes into Maple Street. That's on the roadway work, so they approved that for the town.
So which place the water flow down Hobart then? Does it come down from Hobart to Maple Street?
From Hobart to Maple Street, yes.
Okay. Second question then. The utility upgrades for the water services, is that the services and the new service lines to the building, that's all at town expense, correct? No customer has to pay a betterment to have their water service improved when they run this main down the road?
Correct, there's no betterment fee. That's all part of the project.
All right. The gas main, is that being addressed, anything being done on Hobart Street?
No, we'll just be tying into the footprint of the aprons of the Andrew Street and Hobart Street intersection.
Okay. So there's no chance of getting it upgraded up Hobart Street and having a service line pulled off.
There was an upgrade that was done last summer, just out in front of the free public parking, but I think it ended right in front of North Putnam Street.
Yeah, I missed that window then. Okay, all right, thank you.
One last question.
Mark Jones, Town Meeting, Precinct 4. A site plan question. Will the retail locations have access from the street, or will it be from the inside of the L?
Access from the street.
Access from the street. Okay, thank you.
All right, I think we're right at the 7:30 hour, so I appreciate everyone's time for coming out tonight and the questions and comments. Again, please, if you had a chance, please fill out the sign-in sheet so we can get in contact with you if you need to. We'll also send out any information. We'll send out a copy of the presentation and the notes from tonight. So thank you again, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you.